In round 3, Leicester stun Sarries, an electrifying West Country derby, and Frantic controversial finishes Aplenty. Stay tuned for all of that and a little bit more on this episode of The Lowdown. Welcome back to Gallagher Premiership Rugby's The Lowdown, where I go through lots of the key moments and talking points from the weekend's action. Sometimes it's my job to talk up a bit of a dull weekend. It happens. Don't have to this weekend. Lots going on, lots of it good, lots of it controversial, which we like. Now, I've been keeping my eye on a lot of the players' social media accounts this week, and everyone who says there are no characters left in the game since it went professional, they're miles off. They're all bitter ex-players, like me. We're going to start with a barbecuer, with a griller. We're going to start with Kirill Gotashev, the Russian Gloucester prop. It does seem to be that he's communicating that he's going to grill some bear meat, some meat of a bear. I don't think he's actually doing that. It looks tasty, modest, earthy setup, like it. I can smell it from here. I want in as long as it's beef and not bear. Chief, where's the invite? And to some, it might look like Maro Itoje has caught big Baz Barrington dressing up for a big night out. Well, let me tell you, he dresses like that anyway. He could be off home to watch telly. He still likes to look glorious, and he does look glorious. I think he looks wonderful. I expect you all agree. If you think there are better dressed players in the Premiership, let me know in the comments. I mean, you'll be wrong, but let me know. And it looks like Argentinian hooker Agustin Creevy is giving Albert Tuisui, the big Fijian number 8 from London Irish, a geography lesson trying to find Argentina. Now, some of you might look at that and think Agustin Creevy's taken the mickey out of Albert Tuisui for pointing at the wrong place. I've watched Albert Tuisui train a lot, I've watched him play a lot, I've watched every minute he's played since he joined Irish, and if you want to take the mickey out of him, fine, you'll never meet him. I'll meet him at some point in the next few weeks on a sideline, and I don't want to have to visit my chiropractor because I took the mickey out of him on the internet. So no, I think that's where Argentina is. That is now where Argentina is. And Freddie Burns has had a new haircut. Isn't that nice for him? It's quite a long clip, quite a boring clip. We all know, and he knows that we know, he actually loves that league. So unavoidably this weekend, we're going to talk about a few refereeing decisions. I'm not going to talk about them in a venomous tone. I couldn't do it, you couldn't do it, so we should respect them. You do not want machines, TMO, VAR, Hawkeye, whatever, making every decision in a game of rugby, or it will take 3.5, 4 hours to get a game done. It will become American football, right? We need inconsistent human beings to referee our games instead of machines, because the inconsistency is what gives us things to talk about. It's part of the romance. It's one of the nuances of rugby. It's one of the reasons we love it. Even though sometimes when it impacts our team, we don't love it, we're all talking about it. Some Underhill, the jukebox, the hits just keep coming. It's a beautiful thing. It's legal, it's brutal. Somebody, I think, mentioned that being a late hit or a cheap shot on social media. No, absolutely reject that, 300%. It's just a great shot, proper man stopper. Good this from Bath. I like this kick from Orlando Bailey. He's really highly rated, but he's looked a bit constrained, maybe even a bit nervous the first few times he's played for Bath. Will Muir is just class, and Max Ajomo was the best player on that field. And think about the players who were on that field. Muir brilliantly back up to his feet, thought that was a wonderful try. Might not be try of the season, but it might be in the reckoning, especially considering the pressure they were under, having lost the first 2 games of the season. Really, really good, and good to see a young bloke who, don't forget, missed a really important clutch kick in the last minute up at Sale Sharks. Still pulling things like that out of the bag. Confidence, not a problem. Love it. Nicely formed maul this, if you want to get technical about it. Bath looked to defend it quite well, but Bristol roll it really nicely to the left. Really, it's about the celebrations. Big local derby. 1 or 2 Bristol players in the week talking up the fact they won the last 4 against Bath. Make that 5. You might argue that Bristol shouldn't perhaps have been in that position, but they were, and that's the game. That's why we love it. It's imperfect. Ended up being a hell of a win. My old mate from Bristol, Damien Derrick, said this: Ajomo live is even better than on TV. His work with Muir for the try was the best moment of the match, and that includes Luatua sending Rocco out for the shopping. He's fast, he's skillful, he's confident, looks awful to play against, frankly. I think we might be looking at a wonder kid here. Ben Armitage said this about Bath Rugby: that's the best we've played in ages. I agree with that. Great to watch. Makes me feel like I can't wait to watch them next time. Unbelievable cross kick from Bailey for Muir's second, and beautiful skills throughout the match. Couldn't agree more, Ben, couldn't agree more. First couple of weeks from Bath, really unimpressive. This week, some sort of switch got flicked. They looked fantastic. They were better to watch than Bristol, frankly. Bristol got the win, and good on them. We're pleased for them. They were fab to watch. Will Gallagher, award-winning journalist, world-famous journalist, said this: hopefully Carl Sinclair gets man of the match every week, just so we can hear him speak so passionately, brilliantly and eloquently. Such a shame that we are so rarely afforded the chance to sit down with him and talk life and sport. That is a pertinent point, because I was at the World Cup in 2019 and I read afterwards that the access we got was unprecedented, and so much player access and content. Oh my God, we got none. Can we do this with the lads? No. Can we go for coffee and sushi with the lads in Tokyo? No. Can we talk to them? No. You can have him for 6 minutes on Tuesday. It was like, honestly, football is opening up, rugby is closing in. Controversial? Don't care, it's true. Jonathan Joseph tweeted this: daylight robbery. Now, I like players tweeting what they think. By the way, he was superb on Friday night. A technical point, I don't think it was robbery. Robbery for me is when someone intentionally takes something from someone else, and I don't think anyone, referees or opposite, deliberately took the victory from Bath. It wasn't deliberate, these are just mistakes that anybody could make that led to the scoreline looking like that. And who knows, if those decisions had been made, Bristol might have gone up a gear and won by 20, who knows? But I still, although that is a negative tweet and we shouldn't encourage it, I still quite like top players just saying what they think every now and again. I like this little moment. Had no impact on the game whatsoever, but it's just Owen Farrell getting in his mate George Ford's eye line. The ball is so slippery, bar a soap job, everyone was dropping it, and he just gives his mate a little nudge to rub some salt into the wound.
Try and go towards the open side. Saracens lost the line.
As it was, the game carried on. Leicester's last shot of victory. Initially, Saracens look a little bit ragged defensively. There's a few guys spitting out the side. It's moving laterally for Leicester, but Leicester, very good technique, good discipline. Lots of guys staying low, a few standing up, few upright, that's the way it goes. But Leicester eventually moving forward at a rate. Saracens ripped the thing down. Absolutely the right call. That's a plum penalty try. Yellow card's irrelevant because the game's finished anyway. Leicester go wild. It was the right call. Of course, there is a strong argument they shouldn't have been in that position, but that's a conversation for someone else to have in a referee's assessment or whatever. Leicester Tigers don't care, mate. They're over the moon. And you can imagine social media went wild after that one. Nutrition Doc said, in 20 years, I've never heard Welford Road erupt like it did today. Nothing has come close, not even when Tigers beat South Africa. What a finish. Yeah, I mean, regardless of the decision stuff and all the controversy surrounding that, the atmosphere was immense in that last few minutes for sure. Ellis Genge said, core mental. Thanks for all the support till the bitter end. He was, I mean, guess what? He was really, really good again. Shaping up very, very nicely as Tigers captain, isn't he? And Sean Lennon said, God damn it, that was frustrating at Leicester Tigers. But my God, my throat is sore and my hands are burning from clapping and cheering the boys on. So congratulations, she's frustrated, but they've won. So I don't quite understand your frustration. Usually it's jubilation, but unless you're a Saracens fan, I don't think you are because you're cheering and clapping. Andrew McKenna, aka Macca, hell of a fella. The biggest compliment you can give Leicester Tigers is that the Tigers of old would have won that match. Sarries 99 times out of 100 win that, and they were seriously good, but somehow Genge and co found a way. Very good observation. Maybe the old Leicester are back. Maybe the new Leicester are the old Leicester. Matt Crute said, see, told you Leicester Tigers, the top 6 dark horses this season, proper ground it out. They are looking the real deal this season, wouldn't disagree with that. And the decision we were talking about before, the left arm from Dan Kelly into the head of Ali Davis that was missed, somebody sent the clip to Ben Kay, who'd been commentating on the game and hadn't seen it. Ben Kay said this, absolutely, missed this at the time, but penalty should have been reversed for Kelly's action and Saracens should have won. That's what you do when you make a mistake. You say, yeah, made a mistake. Happens. Up at Franklin's Gardens, Saints attack was on point again. Fraser Dingwall chucking my favourite pass of the match. The old miss pass to Tom Collins, had the defence absolutely stitched up. Late read, took it to the line. Defence flat-footed, really, really nice stuff. This is the sort of thing that people love to go mad about. Lots of people are calling it a headbutt. It's not. Albert Tuisu is annoyed by Waller. Forehead on forehead, gives him a little shove. I don't want to be the glib ex-pro that says, you know, that glorifies violence. I'm not. That's not violence. Everyone needs to get over that. But it was silly, and it did give Northampton Saints a vital penalty, which ended up making Albert Tuisu indeed the villain of the day, because Dan Biggar took that penalty, slotted it. Thank you very much indeed. And big Albert Tuisu himself tweeted this after the game. Thank you for all those who come up to watch the game and also to those who can't make it. And I know it's so frustrating, but he's also saying sorry, apologies for that silly mistake. We go again next week. Irish forever. I mean, basically, Big Albert, Everybody's done it, Chief. Carl on Twitter said 3 games in and already looks like it could be a long season for London Irish. I don't know about that, Carl. I don't know about that. I think they've got so many good players. They might be, again, one of those teams that plays really well and doesn't quite find ways to win. There's a big difference between playing well and winning. Ben Thomas said this on Twitter: a tense end to an exciting game, great determination and result for Saints. Dan Biggar is simply world class. Wouldn't disagree with that. Courtney Laws was fantastic when he came on. Wouldn't disagree with that either. You're just making a couple of solid points there, Ben. Paddy Bluer said, just for once could London Irish start a game well. Great comeback versus Saints, but come on lads, start the game like this. Yeah, interesting one that, Paddy. Easy to say, and trust me, as a player, when you're starting games slowly and having poor first halves and having to mount comebacks in second halves all the time, you try and think of ways to fix it. It's really weird. You change your warm-up routine, you change your half-time routine, you change the times you do your team talks, you use different oranges, you give everyone tea instead of coffee before the game. It's really odd. It has to be psychological because we know we've got it in them. It is an odd one, and I genuinely, as your resident supposed expert, have no idea how you fix it. So good luck. Off to the northeast, Newcastle Falcons against Wasps, both teams flying. It's a reference to the Wasps and the Falcons wings. And I quite like this approach. We're going to send 2 ball carriers to the line. Don't know which one's going to get it, so we're going to melt them both. Hislop's been putting it about since he joined Wasps. Really like watching him play. Bit of a wild man in defence. This is a hell of a tackle, hell of a track back. Absolutely horrible for Callum Chick, who, by the way, carried for an excessively ridiculous number of yards at the weekend. Over 100 yards he carried. That run won't harm it. What a tackle that was. Try-saving tackle, yeah, but what an effort to inspire a team. And this is a lovely, lovely, lovely celebration for the Newcastle Falcons lads. A bit like Leicester Tigers at Welford Road. Perhaps a game that some people outside of the North East didn't expect them to win, especially after how Wasps have started the season. But the lads done the job. On Twitter, @FalconPez said this: get in, our first win over Wasps at Kingston Park in at least 10 bloody long years. That's bad language and we can't condone it, okay, Pez? Ray said this on Twitter: yet again, unable to beat a side reduced to 14 men. How many times in the last year? 4 or 5 times? Double question mark. He means business. Never any need for a double, never any need at all. Not good enough, I'm afraid. Happening too often to be a coincidence. It's a funny thing though, and it's an interesting point, Ray, because how many times do we see teams struggle when they're playing against 14 or 13 men? It's an odd thing. You've got this massive advantage. You feel like you have to capitalise on it immediately, whereas the team that has a player sent off can almost be souped up and gain superpowers from it because they're backed into a corner and no one expects them to win. You become immediate underdogs no matter what team you are. So it does funny things to players' brains. It looked set to be a day of kicker versus kicker versus kicker versus kicker, and it was kind of how it panned out in the end. Adam Hastings held his nerve, played very nicely, kicked very nicely, and kind of did what he was brought in to do on days like this, and just kick the ball between the posts loads of times, some of them squeaking at him.
Connection from Adam Hastings, on target once more.
The worst thing here is that Ted Hill knows exactly what he's done as soon as he does it. He's a brutally physical player, but he's not cheap. Watch him now. He knows what he's done. That is just a very, very momentary loss of concentration and control. He knows exactly what's coming, and it comes.
Ted Hill is red carded.
On Twitter after that game, Ross Hancock said, Adam Hastings, that's it, that's the tweet. Yeah, I thought he did play really well. I know he kicked well, yes he did, but he also managed the game very nicely indeed. Just looked like a ruddy good fly half, which is kind of what he is. Lewis Ludlow, Gloucester skipper, said more cherry and white there today than anything else. Loved it. Gloucester fans doing what they do best. Yeah, good atmosphere. And when I played in the old days, back in the old days, Gloucester fans were just the best, and we loved going there. We're supposed to hate it, but we loved it because they were just the loudest. Plain and simple, they were the loudest, and it's good to hear them in good voice. And Georgie on Twitter said, had an idea. If Gloucester win, shall I just buy a Gloucester shirt to annoy Dad and Uncle who support Worcester? Yeah, just buy one, mate. I mean, you won't regret it unless you walk through Bath Town Centre. I couldn't wait to watch Sale against Chiefs up in Manchester partly because Sale are expected to do big things because they so nearly, well, they did do big things last season, but they so nearly did bigger things. But Chiefs have had such a ropey start to the season that at some point they're going to come good. I wondered kind of which of the potential superpowers of this season would come out on top. Highlight of the Sale Chiefs match obviously was Will Whitty doing his best impression of John Joe Shelby in the midfield with a bit of fluid retention and a few extra milk and bananas. Lovely stuff. I don't mean this to sound as an insult, it isn't one. I can't believe no one caught him. Maybe he's faster than he looks. But no one got, except for the guy that got right near him and actually touched him, no one else got anywhere near him. I found it all a bit weird, but great fun nonetheless. Punchy stuff on Twitter from Sale Rugby News, Sale Sharks fans. I reckon a neutral will have enjoyed that, but I'm bloody seething, they say. Second half against Bath, lost 16-3. Second half against Irish, lost 17-0. Second half against Exeter Chiefs, lost 15-5. Fitness, leadership, team selection, tactical nous, bad luck. It's easy for me to say because I'm neutral, but I'd chill a bit if I were you. There are too many good players at Sale Sharks for them not to come good. But the second half thing is an interesting one, and it feels like about 4.5 minutes ago that everyone associated with Sale Sharks was saying that it was the second coming and Alex Sanderson was going to take over the world. I still reckon he might. I still reckon it is. A couple of losses, a couple of ropey second halves. I think you can fix that, and don't forget what you've got coming back. A lot of beef. Rob Barnett said this: Exeter Chiefs beat Sale Sharks 25-15. The 10-point margin was the biggest in the Premiership this weekend. Looked to have been a great round. That's a really, really good point. Basically, all the games were close. This was the least close of all the games, which means the other 5 games were closer. And Roger Taylor said, needed that one, presumably an Exeter Chiefs fan. And the Lions boys are back next week. Good point, but don't forget, the Springbok boys are back with Sale Sharks too. And on that, Connor Ratcliffe says, can we have the twins back from South Africa? Yeah, you want the twins because, I say this with admiration and respect, they're a pair of mutants, but you also want Lou de Jager back because he's one of the #1 mutants in world rugby. In fact, he might be my favourite mutant. And now it's time for just 5 clips, 5 little bits from this weekend that you might have missed, but that I saw and I found funny. You might not find them funny, but that's comedy, right? Define funny. We tried to come up with like a catchy name, like High Fives or Miami 5-0, but it just didn't work. So it's just 5 things that you might or might not find funny. Now, I know when every decision doesn't go your way on the night, you know, it's easy to react. What you mustn't do, is to all young aspiring players out there, is actually start shoulder bumping refs, okay? Chest bumping them like Max Ajomo does. Okay, completely inappropriate. I think it was an accident. This is just a little treat really for everyone at home. It's just, it would ideally both layers would have come off for full humiliation, but I just think on a weekend where it was, you know, rainy and gritty, I think that's better than nothing. Now this is unfortunate because Ralph Adams-Hale has really hurt himself and it looks incredibly painful. Saw him slip in a scrum and wondered what had happened, and his mate comes off the bench. Look what he does to him. Bang, collides with him. Ah, what are you doing? Stay away. He even can see that it's funny. Even Ralph Adams-Hale can see it's funny. Yeah, it's all right for you, mate. You haven't just popped your shoulder, have you? I mean, this on its own isn't that funny, but it reminds me of a game I played, a midweek game on an England tour once, when someone threw the ball at me and I just waited and waited and waited, hoping someone else, Kieran Bracken it was, hoping someone else would catch it. No one else caught it, and then I went to catch it. It hit me on the knee, then hit me in the face. I walked off the field at the end and Clive Woodward was just laughing at me, and he laughed so much that he couldn't speak for a while. Didn't get picked for the test match, weirdly. This is kind of funny because there's like a rugby league wiggle on the floor from the Wasps. Now have a look. I've not seen a more clear example of someone being held in by someone else's knees while trying to get out. Now last week I asked you to add into the comments who you think should be the next Rugby Great to go on to Strictly. Old Man Willie Boy, is that an appropriate name? Don't know if that's a real name, I think it probably isn't. Has suggested Martin Johnson. I mean, you couldn't be further away, mate. Nice idea, but why do people go on Strictly? They think it'd be fun. No, he wouldn't enjoy that. Cash, think he's all right, and they want to be famous. I don't think I know anyone, maybe Julian White. Julian White and Martin Johnson are tied in first place for people I know who want to be famous the least. So absolutely no chance. Luke Schilling says, love the content. Cheers, fella. Let's get flats on the next series of Strictly. No, said Rugby Great. First of all, I tell people I'm a great, only because I've been retired a little while and they kind of forget. I'm actually not one. Also, they don't know who I am and I don't want to go on there. So it becomes quite an easy situation, quite an easy equation with no awkward conversations because they don't ask me and I don't want them to ask me. So it sort of works, doesn't it? And it looks like some of you have been enjoying the Lowdown, which is great news. It's not just my mum and dad. They watch it on 2 separate laptops. They think we'll get more viewers. I don't know if it works like that, but thanks, mum and dad. Sean Mahan says, this is the highlight of my week. I mean, I don't want to be unkind here, but just get out a bit more, Sean. Maybe come over for a barbecue. We can be friends, not real friends, but pretend friends. Especially as Flats is my favourite pundit. I like that, and you shouldn't read out praise for yourself. But I'm going to, okay, because my mum loves it. Pity he's a Bath fan, it says in brackets. Now, no, it's not right, Sean. Just because I played for Bath doesn't mean I'm a Bath fan. I love the club. I also played over 100 games for Saracens, by the way. No one ever calls me a Saracens fan. Weird, isn't it? What I would say is, when Bath play well, and I watch them and think they're playing well, I will say so and it will give me pleasure. When I watch them and I don't think they're playing well, it will give me no pleasure, but I will still say so every single time because that is my job and someone has to feed my children and I couldn't live with myself if I lied. So love the club and all that, love playing for them, made me very proud indeed, but don't do many favours on the telly. That's not how it works, Chief. New Kashmir said he's happy to see Adam Radwan getting the recognition he deserves. Not often Falcons fans get to be proper proud. I don't know about that. I think you're going very nicely indeed, but Radwan is the man. Absolutely great to watch, and he's more than just quick. Off up to Newcastle, says James Neild. Can't wait to see Radwan, the main man, England first choice winger if ever I've seen one. I mean, yeah, I see your point, and I'd love to see him play for England, and we will see him play for England more. But there are about 27 wingers in the Gallagher Premiership who you could say could be first choice for England. I mean, there's about 43 of them. There's 107 wingers in the Premiership who could play for England as first choice. So not an easy position to get into, a bit like the back row really. And Muzzy says this, Gabriel O'Grey cut me in half when I was 12. Sounds aggressive. Genuinely thought I had a collapsed lung. Quite wish I'd been there to see it, actually, Muzzy. Hope he does that to someone else for England. I mean, yeah, we want him to tackle legally. We want him to play for England, tackle legally with good timing, no malicious intent, just good technique. And he is a powerful guy, but he's got some way to go before he becomes, until he becomes England's #1 man stopper, because Sam Underhill is still roaming around, and that guy, my days, he's like an orc crossed with a breeze block with eyeballs. That's it from me. Do remember to head over to Gallagher Premiership Rugby's website. They got all the highlights packages, all the full matches on there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, join in the comments saying lovely things, make the little bell thing tingle whenever there's a video. Just enjoy yourselves. Hit all the buttons.